Welcome to the Young, Dumb, and in Love podcast, where we talk about all things marriage.
Our goal is to help equip you to have a marriage that is better than you have ever imagined by sharing real-life experiences, getting into the nitty-gritty, and sharing practical ways you can start today. Let's dive in.
Well, welcome back. Young, Dumb, and in Love. Hey, we're so excited to have you guys back here on Young, Dumb, and in Love. Hey, we're going to be kind of talking through some of the things that we got on our Instagram this week. Yeah. And we posted a video about boundaries. Yeah. And it's a hot topic for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't have the boundaries, wish they had the boundaries. Yep. I mean, we're all over the map when it comes to this post in this topic.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if you know what we're referring to, we have a few different episodes on boundaries, but this particular episode, we were just talking about like putting those boundaries in place and how when you have those in place, it helps protect your relationship against infidelity, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the guardrails. It's having those things in place before something happens. Our dogs are
Nala
picking on each other. We had so many comments, a lot of like DMs, like spouses saying like, I'm in this position right now, or I just found out that my, husband or wife is having an affair. What are the chances my marriage will survive? How am I supposed to do this? And this is kind of the thought I had is like, your foot is blocking my notes. You told me to put my notes there, and then his big foot is over. I'm like, I can't see it. But like, I think this is the thing. Boundaries can often seem extreme. That's one of the things we get comments are like, people are like, that's so crazy, or she's crazy. She just doesn't trust him. And boundaries may seem extreme to you when you don't need them. But when you're sitting on the other side of a broken marriage, you would do anything to go back and set boundaries, delete social media accounts, not have Snapchat, not use WhatsApp, not have the contact or of an ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend. Like, you would block, delete, you would do whatever you could do. But unfortunately, it's too late.
Yeah.
The deed has already been done, whatever that looks like, whether that's an emotional or a physical affair, or an emotional affair that led to a physical affair. Yeah. Like, you would do anything to go back and do the deep work before the infidelity. But you can't. So true. Yep. So if you're sitting there and you're like, gosh, you know what? I should put the boundaries in place. Yes, you definitely should. But today's 100%. Episode, we're going to talk about, okay, the boundaries have been broken, or this has already happened. Yeah. Now what do I do? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the conversation today. And it's honestly a really heavy conversation for me. I even told Julian before this, I'm like, I don't really like talking about this, because this is the unpretty side of marriage that can be really hard to talk about. Yeah. And because it's painful. It is. And I never want like a conversation we have to like stir something up. But really the hope of today's is, if you find yourself in this position, like I just found this out, or I found this out, I don't know what to do. I don't have the community or the resources or the help. I don't even know what step one is, that maybe we can just shine a little bit of light into, hey, here are some next steps, And we were talking about this, that our society has a tendency to really over glamorize being unfaithful to your spouse.
All the movies and TV shows. Yeah. Romance novels, whatever it is, there's so much of that going on, and we're like, you find yourself, so many people find themselves like rooting for it, like rooting for
like not on purpose. Yeah, like you're watching a show, but right? It's glamorized, and like an unmarried character, or like this character begins to like have feelings for a married character, and you can tell that the writers are trying to get you to like root for that relationship. Like there's a certain tension that they want you to think is like noble, or like, oh, they're withholding but they're truly in love, but one of them is married, or they're both married. And then you're like, snap back to reality, and you're like, they're literally about to commit adultery or be unfaithful to their spouse. And obviously they're fictional characters, but it just shows you that like our culture sometimes like pushes this narrative of like, it's sexy to be unfaithful. And I'm like, that is so disturbing.
Yeah.
And so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You know, and so.
Well, they're desensitizing us.
100%.
They're trying to desensitize us in the way of, you know, seeing infidelity and cheating and even the word love, like, it doesn't really mean that much. It's fine. If you don't like someone, just leave and go find something else. You know, like, oh, they bug you, just move on. It's not a big deal. And that's what happens to our minds and our hearts is like, we come to this place where we're like, oh, it doesn't even hurt. It doesn't even matter. There's no actual feelings in this when at the end of the day, like you're destroying not just you or your family. You're destroying everyone around, your kids. You know, you're putting yourself in a place where you can totally just destroy your life.
Yep. Well, and, you know, I think it's like, one, obviously we talk about this, like, just be careful what you're putting like into your mind. Cause like, you never know what's like depositing in there and then what's growing. And that's not even what today is really about, but it's just kind of like that side, thought. But infidelity accounts for up to 40% of divorces.
Oh, wow.
You know? And so it's a real issue. And not that I like want to talk about hard issues, but I think it's important to kind of help someone who's maybe sitting on the other side of this going like, this is me. What do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do next?
Yeah.
You know, because I would hate to imagine that anybody feels like they don't have a safe place to bring that to or to go to. And we have seen it happen.
Yeah.
You know, and so that is what we're on that very unfortunate, sad topic. These dogs are literally so pathetic. It's pathetic.
They love you.
Anyway, so you find yourself on, you know, you either have an inkling that something is going on and you're going to confront it, or your spouse has come to you, told you, you know, or you have discovered information. What now?
Yeah.
You know, so just some thoughts around that. And so the first thing is get help right away.
Yeah.
Like right away. And this can be tricky because, you know, who can come and sit with you?
Oof, that's the hardest part right there.
I know. Who can come sit with you and be, I'm going to say, somewhat unbiased.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, there's going to be some bias probably no matter what, because
for sure,
if someone has hurt you and like, there's obviously an offender and then there's the offended, you know, the offender, the person who has committed the, you know, adultery, infidelity, emotionally or physically. And so this might be like a pastor, a mentor, or maybe a marriage counselor you've already been meeting with.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it being either set of your parents, you know, or your best friend. It like, do your best, which I know this isn't always going to be possible. Like this just may not be possible. You may be like, Brittany, like I literally don't have anyone else.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not connected to a local church or community where I can have an unbiased person, you know. Do your best to find the least biased person. How about that?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
someone who isn't going to walk in your front door and start screaming at your spouse, because people are going to want to do that.
Oh, for sure.
Someone who can kind of come in and be there at that moment of discovery.
Yeah.
And your spouse might be there. You might have already had the conversation. For example, you know, when we found out that my dad had been having an emotional affair and we were actually living at my parents' house at the time in transition, we had a pastor come over like the moment we found out, to kind of sit. And he knew, like we knew my dad was in the wrong, but just to kind of be that like, okay, where are we going to navigate from here? Because in the moment you really are so, things just blurry. It's blurry. You're emotionally like set off. Like these it's going to be hard to really navigate from there. Yeah. So I would say the first thing is try to get help right away. Someone who can come sit with you. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. And that's so important to, like you said, make sure that it's somebody who's, going to sit on the line and be able to sit both sides and be able to have conversation with both sides and not take emotion into both sides.
Yeah.
Like,
which is so hard.
Really,
so hard.
It is very hard to find.
And here's the thing. They may be unbiased, like they can keep emotion out, but they also still recognize the right and the wrong.
Yes.
You know, 100%. They're not going to be like, well, no, you know, make excuses for that person, but they're just going to kind of be somewhat a mediator.
For sure.
What are your next steps? Because in the moment,
to help
you're not going to navigate next steps.
That's exactly
very well.
What it's a navigator. You're finding a navigator, someone who's, you know, smart enough, who understands both sides and can help you navigate the next step. Yeah. Obviously, another thing, if you have kids, it's so important for you to protect your kids. You know, put them in a place where they're not sitting right in the muck of it all, because they're kids, you know, and we need to do our best to make sure that they're protected in a lot of ways. Now, I'm not saying lie to your kids and don't tell them the truth and no, you know, anything like that, but it is important to, you know, have someone come and take your kids out to do something fun, and that way they're not sitting in the muck with you in those moments. Now, there's going to be times where you're going to bring your kids in and they're going to have those tough conversations, and it's going to be hard, and it's very important to do. But when the heat of the moment, right when you find out,
moment of discovery, protect your kids, you know, and whatever that looks like. And if that means maybe you do call your parents, hey, me and Julian are having a really, you know, a little bit of a big argument right now. Could you come grab the kids? Can I come drop them off? Whatever it looks like. But do your best to get the kids out of there. Like, they don't need to see the moment of discovery, because that's going to be the most, probably one of the most explosive moments and painful moments. And so always protect your kids. And this one's hard. Like, so many of these, as I say them, I'm like, ooh. Like, this is a hard one. You're going to have to take some time, some time to process. Some time to, because you're going to feel a wide range of emotions. Like, you're going to feel a depth of sadness, and then you're going to feel some rage and some anger. And you're going to be like, I didn't even know that like lived in, like, deep down in the, like, caverns of your soul, there was some anger that was, like, unleashed when you find these things out.
For sure.
You know, but you're going to have a wide range of emotions, anger, betrayal, confusion, and you're going to have to process those. Yeah. And that's the importance, which leads to the next point. Yeah. Consistent marriage and individual counseling.
Okay, so this one's huge.
It's huge, like, honestly, top of the list.
The counseling is so important. There's so many ways to do it. There's I would say 2 ways that you need to do it. You need to have it together where you're able to sit down with somebody and 100%. Have that counseling, get down to the nitty-gritty, to the depths of your souls, figure out what the root issue is, because you got to figure out the root issue. You're never going to heal from something if you don't know what the root is. And so figure out the root issue, and then also individual counseling. Like, it's so important for you to be able to go to a safe place and talk from the depths of your soul, unpack your feelings and what's going on by yourself. And the same thing with the person who is the offender. It's important for them to go and sit and unpack and
like, how
figure
did you
out
get there?
How did you even get there? What is the root of it all? And I would even say, so much so for the offender, like, one thing that your father-in-law did is he actually went away. Like, he didn't just go to counseling. Like, he went to an intensive where he checked himself into this place where they helped men in infidelity. And the whole entire week was just pure talking about, why does this happen? Where did it come from? You know, and really breaking down the issue, because when you can focus on the issue of what it really is, the issue is obviously infidelity, but there's something always so much deeper,
like, you have to get
with
in
the
there.
Inside of that that got you to come to that place of infidelity. And so you have to do something, separate yourself, put yourself in a position that you can discover and grow.
Well, and when I talk to my dad, you know, because it's been several years now, and we talk pretty openly, which might surprise, like, a lot of people, but mostly because I'm like, I believe that when you shine light into something, it's hard for darkness to grow in it. Like, when you just shine light and you're like, yes, this was wrong, we don't agree with it. No, my dogs are literally fighting.
Yeah, they're psychotic.
Get down. When you shine light on it, it makes it hard for darkness to grow. And so when he talks a lot about when he went away for, I think it was like an extended weekend, like, it took him out of his normal, like, everyday life to really get in and, like, dig into those things. And so, you know, finding maybe a program like that. And you know what, if you're looking for one, like, I'm not necessarily going to promote it on the podcast because I don't know a lot about it, but email us at info@youngdumbandinlove.com, and Julian or I will send you over the information and see if we can help you find maybe a place. And so he went and really did some, like, deep soul work and met other men who were going through the same thing. It was out of state. And he attributes a lot of the success to him being able to overcome the things that caused him to, you know, find himself in a place of being unfaithful to that. So taking that time is huge.
So huge.
Do you want me to go next?
Go ahead.
Okay. This is a great reminder. And this is I know what a marriage counselor that we have, has worked with a lot of couples that we know, says like the offender is responsible, period. No, but she, or but he, or if they would have, taken care of these needs, I wouldn't have done it. Offender is responsible, period.
Yep.
So if you're the one who has committed, done the deed, whatever that looks like, you are responsible. You are the one who has betrayed your spouse.
Yeah.
And they need to take the responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think that can be a hard pill for the offender to swallow. And then on the opposite side, which I think this was actually later in the notes, but I'll skip right to it because it goes with it. If you're the one it's happened to, like, this is not your fault. Yeah. Like, it is going to cause you to have to do some deep soul work and really get, it's going to be a struggle. Like, you're going to have to deal with some trust issues and some betrayal, but it's not your fault. Yeah. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. And I think that's the hard part is, well, what did I do wrong? If I would have done X, Y, and Z, could I have stopped this from happening? And unfortunately, we can't go back. You can't go back. It's saying like you can't reset boundaries. Like, you can't go back. But the offender is responsible. They are the guilty party.
Yep. For sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is we need to really try to focus on facts.
Woo!
and that kind of ties into
I'm pretty
what
sure
you
I
just
wrote
said.
Literally in the notes, like, I cringe a little even saying that.
Yeah.
Because there's so much emotion that's been unleashed, but it's true. You have to try to focus on the facts. Like, what happens? Yep. What does this look like? Where do we go from here?
Well, and with that too, one thing that your parents did and they focused a lot on was no more secrets. And so focusing on the facts was also pulling out the depths of our souls. Here's everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you can take a moment to lay it all out on the table right then, and no more secrets, and you put it all on the table face up.
Yep.
For everyone to see.
Put your cards down.
Put your cards down.
So good.
That's going to be the best place to start to bring healing to your relationship, because the person who had infidelity done to them, not the offender, but the other person, they're not going to have a lot of trust or faith in you in this moment. And so it's important that right then and there, you're like, okay, no more secrets. Yeah. Here's everything that I deal with, that I'm going through, that I did, that I've done, that I've thought about doing. Like, just put it out on the table, and you're going to find it much easier to rebound and to come back from that. Now, that doesn't mean it's like, oh, I put it on the table, so you should forgive me for everything. Like, that's not it. What it does is allows you to be free. As the offender, it allows you to be free from the burden of holding on to everything that you've held on to. Yeah. And when you can let go of that burden and allow that to put it on your spouse and say, here's everything. I'm not going to hide anything anymore. What that does, in some ways, it puts the ball in both of your courts. Now, because at first it's just you, like, you have to take full responsibility. Yeah. And then once you do, put it out on the table. Now they're able to take what you've put down and go, okay, what am I going to do with this now? Yeah.
Well, I think too, and I've actually heard this from not just one party, which is kind of crazy. But their spouse told them something, but withheld
some of it too. Yeah.
And that was the kicker for them. And that's when, so then, okay, I gave you some of my cards, but I'm holding these ones back because I'm not ready to put these ones down. Yeah. These ones actually become even worse because you held them back. Yes. It's like, it's time for you got to lay it all out there. And then, like you said, then move forward. And I would recommend and suggest that maybe lay the cards out in the room with the marriage counselor.
Yes, 100%.
Because then there's someone else there. There's this ability to process it together. But you got to get all the cards out on the table. Yeah. You have to. Like, you have to. Yep. One thing to, and this would probably go back to more like moment of discovery, like that, like very, I almost like see it like it's like lava, like that really hot moment where you're like, this is coming fast. It's really painful. And it feels like an explosion type of feeling. Are you safe? Like, set some safety boundaries. Make sure you're safe, because, another thing we hear is in that moment, there's this, I can't even explain it, but like the person is not even like really who you're, like the person, like there's something going on and it's so deep and it's so big. Like, make sure you're safe. Like, make sure you're safe. Yeah. And sat with couples who've said like, I had to physically, like that person had to leave and go stay somewhere else. And because at that moment I felt a little unsafe. Or I felt like they were unsafe to themselves. And so I had to
that's
XYZ, you know? And so are you safe and are they safe?
Yeah.
Like, because it's so big.
That's huge. Because there's been times where people, when this has come out, they become emotionally unstable, right? And so that comes out differently in everybody. Some people can become suicidal. Some people can become abusive. Some people can become, all the different things that we can say out there, but it manifests in different ways. So it's so important to set those boundaries so that you don't put yourself in a place where you're going to be worried about your life or their life or anything like that, because right now is the time for restoration, not to make things worse, and so let's put everything that we can, all the boundaries in place so that we can have a safe place to heal.
Yeah. Well, and so that's safety boundaries. And now let's talk about the boundaries like that should have been in there in the first place. So greater time than now is the time.
Yeah. You didn't do it before, but now's a great time. Now's like the time. It's no too late then, but it's not too late now. That's the thing that people need to realize. It's funny. One of the comments in our post this week was my husband. My husband told me when we first got together that his last girlfriend cheated on him through Snapchat. And as soon as he told me that, I went to my Snapchat and deleted it. It wasn't even a thought. She said, I did it immediately, and it's been the best thing for our relationship because he has nothing to worry about. The thing that triggers him,
I'll just
get rid of. I just got rid of it. And she set that boundary in place immediately, and so, and unfortunately most people just don't work like that. We wait, we just think it's fine, and then when it's too late, that's when we're like, oh, we need to do something. But now it's like we're late, but it's not too late. It's never too late to start.
Well, and if you're gonna commit to doing the work in your marriage, like if you both decide like we want reconciliation, forgiveness, and restoration in our marriage. And this can be hard. And I think we'll probably unpack. This is like, woo, girl, I can't believe you just brought all that up. And then you're just going to leave us on this episode. But really walking through that whole process of forgiveness, reconciliation, and restoration, and it is possible. We have seen it. So many people are like, but I can't find a success story. Well, I'm going to give you success stories. We have
lots of success stories.
And I want to hear your success stories. Like I want to hear like, this happened to us. And now we've been, we've done the work and this is where we are now. They are out there. You might have to go looking for them, but let's go look for them. Let's go find them. But Julian's always said this thing, and I think it's really great, is when you leave the door cracked, it's so easy for it to just get pushed wide open. But when you shut the door, you lock it and you deadbolt and you don't allow something, nothing can get in there. And the hard part is we're not willing to cut off the things that need to be cut off. And we know that scripture says like, listen, if your hand causes you to sin, like cut it off. Now that's really extreme, right? But it's supposed to be extreme. It's supposed to be telling us like, if your Instagram DMs are causing you to stumble, delete Instagram. Delete it. You don't need to be on Instagram. It's not that deep, y'all. Like you need to make those choices.
Well, and you see true restoration happen when they make those steps in their lives.
It shows.
Even like your dad. I mean, he did those things.
All of the things.
And all the things. Like
doesn't have Facebook. Doesn't have Instagram. Doesn't even
any
have his own
social
email.
Media,
doesn't have
gone.
his own email.
He doesn't have his own email. Gone. He doesn't have anything. Like
I hope he doesn't mind we're talking
everything.
about him.
I know he doesn't mind at all. But everything that caused him to stumble, he literally cut it off from his life. And I mean, almost to the point where he just got a flip phone. Like that's kind of
how do we get a hold of you if we can't get on your cell phone? But it's so true. Like how are you? It'll say so much to your spouse too if you're like willing to say, what do you want me to get rid of? Here, take my iPhone and give me a flip phone. You know, like it will show them like they're serious. They're willing to do the work,
For sure.
And you are going to have to get super real. What does the future of your marriage look like? And in the moment, it may be hard to see. You may only be able to see like 10 minutes ahead of you. Like I know right now I can be nice and I can do this for 10 minutes, so it's going to be hard to see the future, but I would just challenge you, like, what does the future look like? And, there are ripple effects. Like there's this saying that in a group of women that I work with, we say like, choose your hard. Yeah. Like both journeys are going to be hard. If you choose like, you know what, we're not going to stay together. Like that's going to be hard.
For sure.
If you choose to stay together and do the work, that's also going to be equally hard, but each hard has different repercussions, and you really have to think through those,
and you have to show up every single day, work hard, and it's not going to go away overnight. You're going to have to work every single day of your life, probably sometimes for the rest of your life. And that's okay. And you should be doing that anyways. You should be working on your marriage every single day of your life anyway. So just make it a part of what you're doing.
Well, and knowing that like if you are the offender and you've betrayed your spouse, one, for both of you, this might be like, there are going to be triggers that come up years later.
For sure.
And as the offender, you can't go, well, I thought you forgave me. Sure. That was 5 years ago.
It's going to be really easy for you to respond that way.
Very easy. And honestly, I get even in a way understandable. You're like, that was 5 years ago. I thought we moved on. But it's going to be continual work.
For sure.
And it's why we express so with such passion, put the boundaries in place.
Yeah.
Because marriage is still work, but it's a different kind of work when you find yourself now on the other side of a broken boundary.
For sure. And ask for forgiveness. We always need to be asking for forgiveness. Even in those times when something triggers you years later, just respond with, I'm sorry, honey. I love you.
Yeah.
What
can I do
right now to help you get through this?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the best response. That's the best way. Yeah. That's the best road to restoration is just being humble and asking for forgiveness. It doesn't matter if you have to say, I'm sorry a million times. I'm sorry. What can I do right now? And that's okay.
Yeah.
But this is a little bit of a quick episode, but we're going to continue this conversation because I think there's so much more to be said.
Yeah.
And
if you are a success story, if you've listened to this whole episode and you're like, oh my gosh, I am a success story, please email us at info@youngdumbandinlove.com and tell us, because we want to be able to share with people hey, here's a success story.
Yeah.
And because people need hope. And that in your moment of discovery, if you can have even a little tiny sliver of hope,
so true,
it can really change the trajectory of where your marriage ends up going.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, we're so grateful for every single one of you. Thank you for joining us on Young, Dumb, and in Love. And we pray that every single one of you have a beautiful, strong, and healthy marriage.